then.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, Thursday is how Friday says hang on. We are almost there. Good morning to you. Welcome to Good Morning Uganda here on UBC TV, your preferred network. And every single morning, Monday to Friday, our commitment to you is that we are yet to inspire you, which is going to be our drill. Also today, Thursday, 9th September 2021. To the birthday bones of today, happy birthday in advance. My name is Priscilla Nalwoga, and join us as we kickstart your day from 6:30 all the way to 9 a.m. Now, I do have a team that I do this with, and an amazing team at that. I will start with Felix Nkunda. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you, Priscilla?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm awesome. It's good to have you this morning.
I can see people on that side are dressed to kill today. Your shirt in particular, yes, the stripes are very interesting.
Thank you,
okay.
Thank you. Gracias.
And Madame Weather also went to the forest, killed an animal, and decided today she's going to come clad in nature.
I can tell you.
Good morning, Molen.
Yes, sir. Good morning to you.
How
Priscilla.
are you?
I am fine. I'm fine.
I love your dress code this morning.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Ruben loves it, mommy.
Hey,
Ruben loved it.
For me, I even had to go and touch and say,
oh.
Yeah. She was like, is
honestly,
this real snake
real.
skin? Yeah, for real.
Apparently, I have very, very bad phobia for snakes. I'll be honest with you guys. So I've been trying to, if you've noticed, I've been trying to stay.
Is that why you're trying to social distance?
Exactly.
Yeah,
because
like
but.
Colin, give him a hug. Give him a hug.
I know. Can I give him just one? We need to get rid of that phobia.
Okay, Robert Kirabo is also joining us with all smiles this morning. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning to you, Priscilla. Good morning, Felix. Good morning, Molen. And of course, good morning to you, our lovely viewer. You really make our day special, knowing that you're waking up to such lovely people like you, wherever you're watching, in your hotel room, at home, in your office. Sometimes people are their morning shifts are not yet done, so even if you're in your office, wherever you are, thank you so much for making us a TV of your choice this morning, and we continuously pledge to ensure that you start your day a very informed person, knowledgeable, and you can fit into any discussion throughout the day because you began it with us on Good Morning Uganda.
Okay, and what's your phobia, your animal phobia?
Yeah, I
know it.
Unfortunately, that is a caterpillar.
Yeah.
And a cockroach.
No, Kirabo, please help me. A thing that is as long as my finger is what you fear.
Yeah, I fear.
Do you have a particular experience with it?
Yes.
Okay, what was your experience?
I was in boarding school, in some school, and when I woke up, I don't know how it entered my bed, so it had worked on my entire back.
Oh,
Here and there, I was rushed to the sick bed.
Yeah.
So from that day, I learned not to minimize that small thing.
Okay.
I don't fear snakes, I don't fear dogs, I don't fear those big things, but what the caterpillar did to me, I recognize that this thing is very dangerous.
Yeah,
show me a caterpillar, I'll get on top of that table. Yeah.
Okay, I think for me, my one animal phobia is the Nairobi fly. It's a very tiny, tiny fly, and it has a red pointed thing at the end. It bit me once, and my whole skin, the whole neck actually, you know, the skin dried up and it flaked. That was such a disaster. Meanwhile, you're in high school. you are in
time where beauty
exactly,
and the
you know, the
skin
boys
matters.
now you have to put on, you know, cardigans and wrap your neck so that they don't see, but then they'll ask you, why are you, you know, closed up? So it was, you know, quite stressful for a teenager. Please not for a teenager. Molen, what are your animal fears? Which animal exactly?
Well, I'm afraid I share that with Robert. I do fear caterpillars, and just a while ago we went camping and I couldn't sleep in my tent because a caterpillar entered the tent and I had to put everyone on tension. I actually cried. Real tears because I was looking for a way out.
Don't you value your tears?
I am telling you, it was right there. It was in the tent, and I was supposed to sleep in this particular tent. And I was like, what?
Knows a woman is putting on an animal print blouse,
he can't
but
hug.
can't
Can't
hug.
even,
No,
yeah.
I can deal with that. I can deal with the animal.
Oh, okay.
It's not that bad, though.
Do you know Gisnek? This artist.
Yes, she used to.
To perform with a snake, she would put it around.
So one time there was a function here at UBC, but she wasn't allowed to perform, I think because of that snake thing. But I went, you know, I want to see this artist, yet the thing was just in the bag. And oh my God, no, so hey, slowly, my partner will perform together, is just here. Like, I thought this is a, can you please open?
Okay.
The lady had this snake, it is true. Like,
All right. We also want to engage in other conversations, but I think we'll save those for tomorrow. But you can send us your animal fear experience. What is that one animal you actually fear, and what was your experience? Send it on our WhatsApp number, and we're definitely going to be checking them out before we leave this half of the 6 o'clock hour. As Good Morning Uganda is waking up and waking you up at the same time, we definitely have a lot. But in this particular segment, we want to look at the stories that have shaped the last 24 hours, both on the local scene and the international scene. But we will start off with Robert Kirabo taking us through the local scenes, and later on Felix Nkunda as well as Molen Kenyana will be taking us through international scene.
And we will kick it off with the collapsed building in Chisenyi. It is not yet over. Now the professional engineers body is ensuring they ascertain what could have caused this building to collapse. The Uganda Engineers Registration Board has accused the site engineers of the collapsed building in Chisenyi, suburb of Kampala, capital city, of behaving unprofessional and breaching the ethical standards of engineering. The board chairman, Dr. Kennedy Mutenyi, wants the site engineer and the supervisor held accountable for laxity and the death of the 6 people who died on the site. The Uganda Engineers Registration Board has taken an assessment inspection of the collapsed site in Chisenyi, a Kampala suburb, to ascertain the main cause of the collapsed building. Board members are accusing the supervisor of substandard building materials used at the site. Kampala Capital City Authority engineers are equally blamed for being reluctant in the exercise of inspecting the progress of the building sites in Kampala. The Engineers Registration Board is hunting for the engineer of the collapsed site. The Kampala developers are urged to always look for only registered engineers to save lives. Several buildings have been collapsing, claiming dear lives in Kampala, and investigations are instituted. However, no report ever released on, and no engineer or developer have ever been brought to book.
Following the indefinite closure of schools after the outbreak of COVID-19, there has been an increase in cases of child labor across the country. The major contributor of child labor is the rise in poverty due to the pandemic and loss of livelihood by many families. Following the outbreak of COVID-19 in March 2020, government took a hard decision to temporarily halt operations of some sectors, not sparing the education sector. This saw many families lose their source of livelihood, giving rise to poverty and cases of child labor. A number of families are now relying on child labor in order to improve chances of attaining basic needs. On this hill in Malala Mukono, Mbalala Mukono are several stone quarry sites employing over 3,000 people, and among those seeking livelihood in this site are also school-going children below the age of 18 working together with their parents, breaking, smashing and loading stones onto trucks. Most of the parents, mainly women, many of whom are widows and single mothers, say their visible sources of livelihood were cut off following the lockdown, which compelled them to opt for stone quarry with support of their children for survival. And according to a report by Save the Children carried out in May, about 56% of Ugandans had noticed an increase in child labor since the beginning of the lockdown.
Away from issues of child labor, now we go to religious issues in the Muslim fraternity, where Haji Nsereko has crushed the signed deal of Uganda Muslim Supreme Council and the rivalry sheikhs, which happened at the end of last week. According to Mutumba, the idea of unity is being battered by personal interest. While meeting the rival group of sheikhs, the Mufti of Uganda, Sheikh Shaban Ramadan Mubajje, defended himself about the constant accusations leveled against him concerning the management of Muslim properties. The meeting was intended to create unity among different Muslim fractions formerly not working together in leadership at the Uganda Muslim Supreme Council. The rivalry sheikhs were led by Sheikh Obedi Kamulegeya, who picked misunderstandings with the Muslim leadership at Chibuli over the Supreme Mufti question. These Muslim leaders agreed on certain issues centered on amending the Muslim constitution. The senior Muslim cleric, Haji Nsereko Mutumba, crushed the signed communique, saying this is illegal. Mutumba wants Muslim communities to take charge over their matters than leaving them to people he described as opportunists looking for positions, having lost respect from their former servants.
Still on the conversation of religion, religious leaders from different regions want government to reopen places of worship as the country closes on to the end of 60 days partial lockdown on places of worship. The men of God have attributed the gruesome killings in Masaka district to lost hope and faith, and the perpetrators have chosen violence over God. On 31st August 2021, different religious leaders and practitioners petitioned government over failure to open worship centers, which could be a reason why Ugandans are choosing sin over mankind. These think if government does not rethink, the massacre incident is a clear example that the country is entangled in trouble. They have advised government to consider changing the mindset of Ugandans through praise and worship for the better Uganda everyone needs. They also want government to consider balancing spiritual needs and regulate all places of worship when reopened. Religious leaders think if all worship places are opened, it would be easier to make Ugandans understand that sin is not the only option for one to be hopeful. They existed. Anyway, Felix Nkunda, what do you have for us this morning?
Well, of course, in our international stories, we will pick it up from a story from the U.S. where we see Biden administration comes out to tell ex-Trump officials to resign from Military Academy Advisory Board or to be dismissed. And the Biden administration told 11 officials appointed to the Military Service Academy Advisory Board by the former President Donald Trump to resign or to be dismissed. A source familiar with the situation did come out to make mention in the papers. Now, the officials were asked to resign, including prominent former Trump officials like former White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer, a former senior counselor to the President Kellyanne Conway, and former National Security Advisor Mark Starr were appointed to the advisory board of the Naval Academy, Air Force Academy, and West Point, respectively. Now, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki also on Wednesday afternoon confirmed the request had been made. President's objective is what any president objective would be in ensuring that nominees and people serving on this board who are qualified to serve them, but also in the best interest of the then administration. Now, in other stories, international, we'll be looking at Afghanistan, while we see women were being beaten for demanding their rights. Now they came out to say we want equal rights, we want women in government. Dozens of female protesters chanted as they marched down the street in Kabul on Wednesday. A day earlier, the Taliban had announced that their interim cabinet ministers, there were no women at all, and they have also abolished the Women Affairs Ministry. Now we cannot accept this, and that's why we came out. Sarah also came out to say to BBC. Now it was the second demonstration she was participating in over the past week. We were marching peacefully. Then I saw 4 to 7 vehicles with about 10 Taliban fighters in each of them following us, said Jia. Now in another protesters, the women say that they were stopped, lashed with whips and beaten with batons and emit electric shocks. They struck my shoulder twice. I could feel pain all over my body. It still hurts and I can't move my arm. Now Jia said they also used a lot of bad words and abused us. It's too shameful for me to repeat the names they called us. Of course, also we'll cross over to Africa while we'll look at what's happening in Guinea. There where we see West African leaders suspend Guinea from ECOWAS following the coup. Now, Guinea has been suspended from the West African Regional Bloc ECOWAS following the coup that overthrew President Alpha Conde on Sunday. Now, Burkina Faso's Foreign Ministry, Alpha Bari, said the bloc also demanded Mr. Conde's release from custody, he added, and leaders of the 15 Nations bloc held a virtual meeting to discuss the coup worked by the earlier troops led by 41-year-old Colonel Mamadi Doboya. He also accused Mr. Conde, 83, of rampant corruption and human rights abuse. Now he deposed a president's whereabouts and unclear, although the coup leader have said he is safe. Now Guinea is one of the world's biggest producers of that is bauxite, a raw material for aluminium, and the prices have leaped to at least 13 years high following the coup. Now, junta released about 80 political prisoners who had been detained during Mr. Conde's rule. Around 400 people had been imprisoned during the same in 2020 when they were going through elections. And many of those released were arrested last year during the massive nationwide protest against Mr. Conde's plan to stand for a third term.
President Biden gets real on climate change. He says we do not have any more time. Now he spent the last few days touring devastation from Hurricane Ida and warning about superstorms that are linked to climate change. Last week, the president went to Louisiana, where thousands of people still lack power after Ida roared ashore, though thankfully lives held after being strengthened in the wake of Hurricane Katrina. Now remarkably, Ida was not the deadliest on the Gulf, where winds reached up to 140 miles per hour, but 1,000 miles away, where it hit New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, and New York. Flash floods, tornadoes, and high winds left at least 50 people dead in the Northeast, and in the process laid bare vulnerabilities faced by coastal cities amidst global warming. Now, for decades, scientists have warned of extreme weather, and one analyst also warned that forecasters may have to come up with a new level of hurricane magnitude scale, that is Category 6, if storms turned into monsters by warmer sea getting much worse. Now, the U.S. climate crisis has also sparked severe wildfires and drought this year. Luckily, President Biden does have a plan. His $1.2 trillion infrastructure deal with Republicans and also a $3.5 trillion spending plan are packed with investments designed to cut carbon emissions and to develop green energy and energy-efficient vehicles and modes of transport. The bill is also vital to the U.S., hoping to show on the leadership at November's Global Climate Change Meet in Scotland.
That we see the women advocating for their rights to humanity. We do have what is happening with the hurricanes that are rising up. This usually is the season. The cycle usually changes, especially in favor of the winter that is coming for the countries and the continents that do experience winter. But the journey here for Good Morning Uganda is continuing. Now this morning we have lots of conversations that are going to be stretching up from different things such as weather and nature and also climate. But I'll start with Molen. What do you have for us this morning?
Well, we want to take a look more into our seasonal forecast for different areas. We did break through most of that yesterday, but there are advisories that are associated with that forecast, and those are important for farmers as they plan on what crops to plant at this particular time, and also for different sectors, not just agriculture. So we'll look more into the different advisories that are coming in from the Met authorities and also the regional center from ICPAC.
Okay, all right. Felix Nkunda, our news read this morning is going to be centered around what?
Well, basically, we will be delving into how far Kampala in its own self has gone into trying to re-echo or trying to re-put first its physical planning in terms of mobility, accessibility, and of course working on its masterpiece plan to have this city back to sanity in terms of congestion.
Okay, all right. And that will definitely call for our poll question this morning in the very same regard, where we want to take your views.
Suggestions on a possible public transport plan to improve the transportation in Kampala. What are your suggestions on a possible public transport plan to improve transportation in Kampala? Now you also be able to share your true sentiments about our poll question through our Twitter handle, that is #UBCGMU, our WhatsApp 0709602592, and of course also you can leave a message on our Facebook, and for those of you who are casting us live from YouTube, you can leave a message in the same way or leave an SMS on the same number 0709602592.
Okay, lots of messages coming in regard to the animals people are fearing and their experiences. But Robert Kirabo, good morning, Uganda agenda. What's the agenda for today?
Well, today we are going to be looking at the cross-border trade between Uganda, South Sudan, and the recent standoff of truck drivers. Tuesday, they decided to go back to work, drive through, and we'll be having, that is the chairperson of Regional Lorry Drivers and Transporters Association, Byron Chinene, with us. But Priscilla, also, I can't forget.
You cannot forget.
I can't forget.
And even if you forgot, we would remind you.
Very tasteful.
It's very tasteful.
Yeah. Just to remind you, please ensure you get yourself a bottle of Hallelujah Ginger tea or Hallelujah turmeric drink this morning. Apart from being tasty, there's so many benefits in terms of boosting one's immune system. So you need these. You may not have time to find them and mix them, but it's already done for you just in this bottle. So 1,500, nearest shop close to you, supermarket, ask for Hallelujah Ginger tea or Hallelujah turmeric drink, and you'll be good to go and start your day with a smile, just like that.
Has broken the history in the world of US Open, and that is Eva Raducanu, who has now reached the semi-finals after beating a very prominent tennis player. Also in the qualifiers for World Cup, Team Ruben Pima Chivirango. If you know, you know. That team had keen scoring twice for that country as they made sure that they are setting an unbeaten record. These details, Ruben Pima Chivirango, will be coming through in our sports segment to give you more of these stories. But as we are wrapping up this hour, some of you have shared your animal fears and scares. Let me start with this message. But please, when you're sending us a WhatsApp or message, do remember to leave us your name. It's very important that we know who we are talking to. Morning, Felix, Priscilla, Molen, and Robert. I am so much fearful of ants. A mantis. No, a mantis. It's the one that is really in the class of a grasshopper, but it's a bit bigger downstairs. Okay. Even just imagining it, I feel like hiding away. This is Felix's. Felix standing next to Molen.
In Uganda, it's called what? The praying mantis.
Praying mantis. Yes. This is Cricket Derek. Well, thank you. And he calls himself Cricket. The irony. We do have another message here. I hate snakes terribly and all its attires. Okay, all right.
Needs to go to the snake park, visit the snake park along the
Joy Desire hates snakes and everything related to snakes. Okay, all right. Thank you so much for your contributions. On to our 7 o'clock hour, but we leave you with a song for the day.
Yeah.
Uganda. Today is a great day to work towards your dreams. Dial *185 *7 hash and select savings to save as low as 500 Ugandan shillings on regular savings or 250,000 Ugandan shillings for fixed deposits. Airtel Money Super Saver is powered by KCB Bank Uganda. Airtel Money, instant, secure, borderless. T's and C's apply.
5 for 5, 5 times the winning, yeah. 5 times the happiness, yeah. 5 times the luckiness, yeah. 5 for 5, oh yeah. It's 5 for 5. 5 for 5, 5 times the money, yeah. 5 times the shopping, yeah. 5 times the prizes, yeah. 5 for 5, oh yeah. It's 5 for 5. 5 for 5.
Win 100,000 Uganda shillings weekly in the 5 for 5 jackpot. Simply download the Center mobile app. Click Center on the go to open your account. Online, transact 5 times or more using Center mobile, Center Visa, and Center Agent to stand a chance to win. The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. So, participate in the 5 for 5 jackpot and win millions in daily and weekly prizes. The 5 for 5 jackpot is brought to you by Centenary Bank, our bank. Centenary Bank is regulated by the Bank of Uganda. Customer deposits are protected by the Deposit Protection Fund.
Experience 100% 4G speeds across Uganda with the Airtel 4G Pocket Wi-Fi available at 123,000 shillings only. It comes with 15 GB free for 1 month. Visit the nearest Airtel shop, device selling shop, or Airtel online shop. www.airtel.co.ug/broadband-discover. Airtel, the smartphone network.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Kampala City is the capital of Uganda, and it harbors millions of people by daytime as well as night time, both for trade and residency. But the congestion seems to be growing by the day. Most recent story is the continued collapsing buildings left, right and center, and also the road system that is becoming cumbersome and congested. Well, on Good Morning Uganda into our 7 at a revision plan that has been laid out by KCCA to ensure that they decongest the metropolitan area of the city. My name is Priscilla Nalwoga, and welcome again to Good Morning Uganda. I'll be doing this with Robert Kirabo and Felix Nkunda. But to kickstart our conversation, interesting, it actually covers so many areas where borders have to be limited. For example, if you are in the likes of Kamocha and you're coming in from Bukoto as a border rider, or as a passenger on a border rider, your border should not go to Chisementi. It's out of bounds. Alongside the stretch to Uganda Museum, which is the Kira Road, all the way to Mulago, and then it comes onto Bombo Road, enters Chiseka Market. All these areas, that is where border. You also do have it cutting and coming past Queensway, where we do have the new Kampala flyover coming up, and then it does cross and enters the areas of Chiguri on the Mukwa, stretches all the way to Ginger Road, and then it goes up to shortly before Nakawa, where you do have the Lugogo bypass road, and it connects on the Lugogo line. Is supposed to be a border-free zone. Imagine what the fate of Ugandans and Kampalans. In order to get to a certain location, either you must now have your own vehicle, or you have got to use your feet as means of transport. It is also known as Futsubishi. But as we get into this conversation, we definitely have our poll question where we want to engage you in this regard. Our poll question this morning in Kampala, send us a WhatsApp on that line and we'll be able to engage you. But as we get into the revision of the public transport system in the metropolitan Kampala, possibility of having this implementation, we have had small projects being started and later we are given a report that they were just trial projects. For example, the non-motorized lane that was done most recently, finished in the COVID-19 of last year lockdown. And today we see borders are still passing, cars are still passing, and yet traders are also using that very same route. So the implementation of a perfect smart city, Felix Nkunda, let's start from there. How do we make this implementation work to get the smart city in terms of transport and movement?
Well, of course, Priscilla, you must also take into note that everything there be in terms of enforcement or implementation must be backed up by a project approach. KCCA has for so long tried to do this, and between you and me, Robert will agree with me for how many times they have attempted to make changes and make this the big deal. This whole approach of trying to make transport and what, you see, a free motorized transport area or a no-go area must be backed up by reason. It is not just you see, it's not just a matter of waking up to say, here we don't want cars, here we want borders, here we want bicycles. Here. What is the rationale of that? Having established the rationale of that, you must also put in place what we call aids to whatever you have agreed, or probably what one would call alternative methods of transportation. So what we see today is, in my opinion, is that the suggestions are super. That's a matter of fact. When you say that you don't want to have, for example, be like borders, free zone, what is the purpose? Is it because borders litter? Is it because they cause jam? Is it because pollution? Is it because... Now, secondly, that must also be working towards...
So, just so I get you clear, the why as to why they will have this zone should be well communicated. So
with a bigger picture.
Adherence, yes.
Even with a bigger picture. And this is how it works. Like if I came here and told you, because tomorrow is going to be a cold day, I would want you to put on a cardigan, put on a vest or an undershirt, a shirt, put on some fur jacket, because it is going to be a cold day. For us to work out some of these planning, we must have a well worked out plan that one act, one decision fits into the general big picture. If you're talking of decongestion, if border accidents are very many, the big question again would be, do those accidents happen in this busy, in the area we are trying to condone off?
That is true, they don't.
Because it is not qualified,
because
yes.
Already the security detail in this particular zone, it requires...
How many accidents happen on Nile Avenue?
You only can access it by car.
So that again doesn't qualify. Now, that will then seem like it's an attack on a particular sector of business. And that will again also come back into the aspect of compliance. What am I saying? That we must have well thought approaches. If you're talking about discongesting some of these business centers, the real problem is what? Let's talk about the style of construction. What happens is that if you want to deal with decongestion, and if the problem is cars, how do you remedy that? For example, then have a non-motorized area that if you're coming to Kampala, maybe cars stop here, then we have it, but then you have buses, because a bus will bring about 100 people. Yet that would, I drive my car here, Priscilla you drive, Robert drives, 3 people, 3 cars. Yet if we are using, so the approaches, I find what I saw a bit shallow in my opinion, and I'll be honest with this, that it does not remedy. What's the difference if you're stopping a border, how the space a border takes vis-a-vis the space a car takes? Those are the real things that cause, like for example,
eliminate somehow.
Yes. So what are the real issues? Let's talk about enforcement of traffic laws. How many people in this that is I've seen lorries with over
in Chikubo.
It is, you know, and it ends up on Nile Avenue, and it breaks down for 3 days.
Down and causes a jam
now,
and blocks off the road.
Those are the real problems. You see people, for example, how organized are the lanes, motorized and pedestrians?
So what I'm picking from your submission is that before we even look at the congestion caused by, you know, motorists in the city, you have to look at the fact that the city itself by structure is congested in terms of just even the roads giving access to the city are narrower than given what should be in a city like a big city.
And that's what I'm saying, that the idea is super, but it must be fitting into a bigger portion of plan. Like, you know how you play a puzzle? If I put this here, it will work. Like if you have letters you're putting together, if I put this here, it will work with this and what I'll have. Now, the removal of borders, what does it remedy?
All right. Let's look at it in terms of how it actually aids trade, business cycle within the metropolitan area to be able to support and supplement the external area. You have things that have cropped up in most recent years. Buildings are coming up in very tiny spaces, encroaching on the free space that would have been enjoyed by pedestrians. When you look at the arcades that are available, Robert, right now, even on the street, even on the veranda of that arcade, you pay money to actually put your stall there. That is congestion.
Yet it should be a walkway.
And also it should be a walkway. So there's already congestion work, and then all these things that are coming up in terms of the structure of the city, the physical planning of the city are not all favoring what KCCA is planning to do.
Well, problems KCCA has faced over time are quite many. Where it nowhere. That's another problem with KCCA. Priscilla, before you even look at congestion, look at other factors that are bringing in congestion. KCCA, that was in 2018, they launched what they called the Kampala, actually that was last year, September. They launched what they called Kampala Master Plan, a 5-year plan. They had something in there. In 2018, they launched what they called the Road Safety Strategy of KCCA. Previous attempts, even after the lockdown, if you remember, KCCA came out and after the president talked about reopening, you remember when they told taxis to have stripes, to stages, gazetting stages. There is so much they talked, seeming to be somewhere. But you see, if you do not plan very well, and you're going to firefight, these are mistakes you find. You've not looked at the road designs, you've not organized parks. That's why you see for a long time, KCCA has battled with removing vendors off the streets. When you limit movement and you don't have a proper plan, in one way or the other, you're hindering trade. That is why a person will tell you, I want to build my arcade on a busy street, because people will pass there. So if you just come out with plans that hinder movement, it is going to go to the economy. If I can't access the art of the city in an organized way, I will not go there.
Perhaps then it gives opportunity to trade being taken out of the city. Most recently, I had a visit in Gayaza. I was impressed by how Gayaza town has developed greatly, because businesses have started to be pushed out of the heart of the city, and now they're much more accessible to people in that area code, which can happen, or we have seen happening, especially in this lockdown, where people have decided, you know what, because of the rent expenses and what, let's move the businesses out of town, which I think is bringing trade closer, in my opinion.
That, in your opinion, and in my opinion, I accept. People are moving away because of cost of rent. But then how are you planning? Today, what you do in the outcasts of the city have an impact on the city. If you plan development in those areas, plan the roads properly in Kampala Metropolitan, plan proper taxation, security, what is going to happen? That a person may not come to Kampala, the central business district, because they know that actually we can have those areas. But what is happening, the problems in Kampala are being extended to those areas.
Okay.
You're not solving the problems in Kampala. So the same mess,
pushing away the problem.
The same mess of Kampala, you've learned nothing.
To other councils to deal with.
And now it's happening in other councils. So what is going to happen? Even these virgin lands, these virgin areas, are going to have this mess, and there will be a trickle-down effect to Kampala, which is going to be a mess. So we must have processes planning, seeing what should we sort to solve the problem coming. 1,000 buses, that is their new plan from metal industries.
Buses, yes.
If with our roads, I want to tell you, Priscilla, even if you limited borders from coming in, and you have 1,000 buses, when we had this, is it Wakurenume? Remember those buses? Then we had
they're still on the road, meanwhile, and their mechanical condition is worrying. Every time I see it, it's and I'm worried for the people in the
Pioneer buses. So with the kind of streets you're having, you're going to have more of a mess than solving a problem.
All right. Assessment of those projects that had taken flight but failed, Felix Nkunda. Robert has brought up the buses. You did have the Pioneer Bus project taking flight, and then suddenly it went quiet. Non-motorized lane came, but we can see what it's actually turning into. It has become an outdoor arcade. You do have the Kampala flyover under construction currently. What is the future of that in aiding this particular project, and so many other things that have been, put in action by KCCA but seem not to project results?
Now, as a student of project planning, I learned that whenever you want to deal with or you want to ascertain sustainability of any form of project, you must be able to prove that you are involving and majorly for the stakeholders. Because even after there's been decomposition or completion, they are the ones that will endeavor to keep the dream alive. Now, what happens in this KCCA and their plans, even when the reason why you're talking about the pioneers and the Wakurira, I think Wakurira was even a cooperative, something like that. It's a private, it's a private arrangement, which has done so good, by the way, as a matter of fact. But you still have buildings falling on people. We still have bigger problems, by the way, than dealing with the transport. When you go to Chisenyi,
and coupled with the less human resource, can you believe KCCA has only 10 building inspectors? The whole of Kampala, 5 divisions, 10 building inspectors.
But I don't think, for me, how many do they need to inspect?
More than that. Do you know how many buildings?
Well, you can see the border congestion.
But you see,
at traffic peak hours also. That
actually borders are very nagging, if I may borrow a slang. I know that for a fact. But they have been a great solution in terms of job and employment.
Actually,
they have also been
in the lockdown we have just gotten out of, the president allowed them to work so that they can enable trade to continue. Allow the borders to carry cargo. Yes.
Well, we saw people putting themselves in boxes to qualify to be
completing your submission.
But for me, I want to say this, that sustainability of some of these projects is not guaranteed if there is absence of bringing the relevant stakeholders on board. If you want to talk about issues of congestion, you must involve people. You must involve the people who live in this city. They must have an opinion.
All right.
They must be guiding and also be guided. Now, that's the only way they will find the reason to comply.
Okay.
And what you talk about the buses, they're going to bring the Tondeka, the what, all these things are going to be there, they are good. But what's the use of them if people are not part of these projects? For example, you remember the railway issue, that the train that used to take people. Those are discussions. You're talking about buses, but how affordable will they be to Ugandans? That's another question.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's look at it in the broader perspective. There's the national road network that is being worked on currently. How does this feed into the national roadway network? Felix has just brought up the railway conversation. This very same week, that's a big topic, because just people within Chireka, Banda, Bwegere are suffering. They're being told to evacuate the premises without a penny so that they can make room for development of the railway system, the national transport and road system, and how this actually feeds into that.
Well, Priscilla, of course, when you talk about road network, it is something that you see will ease trade and do great. But what happens is when you talk about the central business district, which now we are talking about, or Kampala Metropolitan, all you have to ensure is that all roads that are linking into Kampala are free of congestion and free of jam. So the problem you find here is that, first and foremost, you're having a road network, which road network does not have other, what they call feeder roads. jam in this town, if this road network, the specific key roads, you had these other, you usually call them panya roads. If they are many and they are well looked after, maintained properly, you may not see this jam we are having here.
And unfortunately,
with Jennifer,
very well.
Let me tell you, the irony is that this road that we see here is the one that is well done. They repeat these roads literally every 3 years, but the roads in Chiseni that never touched. The roads in outskirts of Kampala are really just overlooked.
And Priscilla, there's also another big problem when you talk about some of these congestion problems in Kampala. One, politic. I want to tell you, KCC had so many attempts to deal with the borders. First, they had a problem of border 2010, if you remember, the untouchables, where no law enforcer would dare. Then, when they came to issues of the new park, you saw how politicians came in. So as long as there's still this political problem in our country, where I don't look at infrastructure development, my voters, my people, that becomes another problem. Then also the will and real intention of such. We hope this is not just a deal by someone, like so Pioneer. You meet investors somewhere, bring them in Kampala, you think you're going to suppress others for your business to go through. Over a time you're indebted in loans, what you thought is not working out, yet you've messed the traffic system.
Felix Nkunda, as we are wrapping this conversation up, let's look at the broader picture. A capital city, I think many years ago on the floor of Parliament, there was a motion passed that perhaps we should leave Kampala here and move maybe to Luwero and rebuild all over again to achieve the smart city that we are dreaming of as Uganda. We have the best case example, Nigeria. They had their Lagos that became congested. It could not handle or sustain the economy in any way. Now they had to come up with a new city, which is Abuja City, and that has definitely helped them in that regard. In that relation, how can we actually move forward?
Well, we don't have to build a new city, per se. We have already turned the other 7 cities. I think we just have to build capacity, that someone in Masaka does not have to come and struggle for space in Chikuwo. You know, that someone in, as you said, Gayaza, doesn't have to drive probably 20 kilometers to come to Kampala to be able to purchase a blouse or a, what is
at
a bra.
10,000 shillings to go and sell it
That's
at
the thing.
20,000 shillings.
No, for his consumption, no, for our consumption, to come and buy a bra at 5,000, to get a taxi to come to Kampala, to buy a straws. We just have to motivate trade that is diverse, that is regional, that what can be got in Kampala can be got in Masaka, can be got in Fort Portal, can be got in Lira, Arua. And this is entirely about, that's why I told you that because we do things without a common plan, that's why we end up hitting a wall. All right? Because now you realize that people come from, let me give you, people travel, let's say from Busega. Now, the distance from Busega, that is Masaka Road, to Kampala, they have come to do what? To buy Chutex, iPencil, and what? Now, if a day you have that one, there's one also who comes to buy fruits in Nakase, but he has passed how many markets? Narukolong and what? Okay. So what I'm saying is that let us empower regional development. This will ease congestion, that everything you do in Kampala can be got anywhere. And lastly, Priscilla, government policy in terms of diversifying government agencies is also a big deal in terms of development. Why don't you get some ministries and put them in Masaka,
and
put
we
them
leave
in
it as a
Gulu,
question mark, as you have said it. Why not? While we come to the conclusion of this conversation, for me, I believe transport is a connector, transport is a developer, and transport is a builder to what we are aiming as here in Uganda. But as Felix had mentioned before, for the stakeholders, call them on the drawing board and have compliancy that is coming from discussions that have been merged by both parties, coming to agreement on how the smart city can be achieved. Good Morning Uganda now gets to take a look at the tabloids this morning and what they're stating. Good morning.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Hallelujah Jingati drink and Hallelujah Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Hallelujah Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Hallelujah from all shops around.
Getting GoTV was the best decision James has ever made. Finding a good place to watch football was never easy, but it was costly. Until James discovered something big. Now he can finally enjoy the benefits of homegrown advantage with a decoder and 1 month of GoTV value. For just 25,000 shillings, enjoy the world's biggest leagues and cap competitions. GoTV Uganda, love it.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, thank you so much for being with us on UBC TV, and we are still serving you a heavy breakfast full of information, a bit of some jokes here and there, but it's our mandate to ensure that we give you all the information you need as you kickstart your day. Now, Felix, even before I go to the papers, one of our viewers, that is Senkatuka Lukman, just sent me a very interesting text on WhatsApp. The phobia he has, the animal, and he said women. For him, that particular, said, tell Priscilla, for me it is that.
So, Ndugu Senkatuka
Lukman.
Okay.
Yeah, that is his phobia. Talk about that he will run and
apparently for some of us, they are our, what's the opposite of phobia?
Let's go into press review. Looking at some of the dailies this morning, I have the New Vision. While President says no one can know his secret. He was responding to, that is Museveni speaks out on Rwanda and Guinea coup. Still, the New Vision brings you over 450 tenders, offers in various sectors. There and proposed school reopening. Some of the proposals that have been put on table. We have schools to operate Monday to Sunday. That will mean that maybe there are classes that study Monday to maybe Wednesday, then the other. Then as you pass O-level, that is Senior 3 English, Entrepreneurship, ICT, and Senior 2 Physics and Mathematics. President Museveni meets families of Masaka murder victims. That is the picture there, where His Excellency was meeting these families. And being young is interesting. Now there's this young kid. For her, she's holding something, not bothered of what is happening there. But hey, you're meeting the head of state. Still, the New Vision brings you Law Council releases list of approved law firms. Check out there for you to avoid the smart people on our streets. who may masquerade as lawyers only to fleece you of your money and you get nothing. Then COVID-19, over 700, that is travelers, test positive on arrival. That is a big number there as well. Felix.
In the Daily Monitor, Museveni speaks out on Rwanda, spy claims. He comes out to say, reviews with wish to deploy in DRC once Guinea coup plotters out, says not to blame for closing borders and promises justice for the 54 killed in protests. Now, of course, he gave also, President gives 250 million to families of victims. You'll find some posts starting to say, Zambia, let them stay.
How much is that?
You're getting 250 million.
Each family?
I don't know if that is each family, probably all of them. Now, hey, teachers ask government to reopen schools in October, and government grants Ruanga official burial, and now Lango lost its oldest county. And still looking at Daily Monitor, Makerere online exams to start next week, and government set terms to schools reopening. But also from the archives, Britain's Queen Elizabeth II meets Uganda's Mildmay HIV Center in Kampala there. That was in 2007. And today in history, DP angered by Museveni's comments. That is in 1980. And Kim forms Republic of North Korea. That is in 1948.
In the New Vision, we look at the COVID tracker this morning. What are the indicators there? New confirmed cases, 133. New deaths, 7. Total deaths so far, 3,068. So please don't be part of these statistics. Just perfect the SOPs. Have your vaccination if you qualify in those groups. Looking at today in history, did you know that Ugandans were among the first Legico members? They bring you Petero Nyanga Biachi, who was one of the people there, and Kawalia Kagwa, also who was in the Legico. And still the New Vision on facts or myth regarding COVID-19. This morning, a question: is it true that the coronavirus is spread rapidly during cold weather? During cold weather, is it true? Well, experts answer you there.
Now, we'll be jumping into sports where we see Uganda breast for Namibia in opener, and Cheptegei is August real star. Now, that is Stiplash, Chimtei eyes Wanda DL trophy. And of course, also Tokyo Silver showed Cheptegei is just human, says Autech. Now, Chimtai eyes Diamond League trophy, but also volleyball cranes bid for quarter slot. Now, women under 20 in race for fitness ahead of World Cup qualifiers, and early group decider for Uganda against Namibia in the opener. Now, Lady Doves also eye consolation as CBE Vahiga for top prize.
In the New Vision Sport this morning, URA FC back to big stage. That is, URA is returning to the that is a contestment after 6 years not being part of it. Then I am top of it. That is today where we are seeing Burundi versus Uganda. That will be 3 p.m. in the Men's African Volleyball Championship. Coming to volleyball cranes coach, that is Omure. There is a picture of her there, and of course much written about our teams there, and we keep on praying for victory as a country. But don't forget, all to do with sports, Ruben will be here to give you the catchy stories and all that you need to know in the world of sports.
Now, on the Daily Nation, turmoil in Ruto camp. Deputy President allies are not about to fold their political parties to join the UDA anytime soon. Now, that is Chitembo's. This 7 million judge tells court he planned to bank cash for son's fees. And battle for economic models there, they give you how the stance is and who will be coming out on top come their elections. Now, ODM change of mind on party polls. All these are quite being reported ahead of the elections in 2022. Now, you can get yourself copies of the dailies if you want to get more of just above and an insight beyond the headlines. Now, Priscilla is on the other side to let us know how it looks in terms of how you will get yourself into Kampala.
All right, as we had looked at the map for the border exclusion zone, which stretches and starts from Kira Road, goes around Metropolitan Kampala and comes through Lugogo bypass and comes back to the center, which is to Cementi. So we want to look at the traffic that is around the starting point as well as the ending point for the Kampala border free zone. But picking it up from Bokoto, we want to see how the flow of traffic is like in Bokoto and subsequent areas that this morning. Kira Road is clearly, of course, bringing in traffic that is coming in from Tinda, coming in from Chisasi, it's coming in from Chanja. And so some of these routes that are used as alternative routes for people coming in within those area codes to connect to Kira Road rather than going through the long stretch of Ntinda plus 30, 40, 50 minutes of being in the Tinda traffic jam. They would rather use the Bukoto Chisasi Road that connects from the bypass and then brings that traffic and drops it onto Kira Road through Bukoto. Now this is the Bukoto Chisasi Road, and it does have some orange to yellow zones there. Of course, it's managed by the traffic lights at St. Andrew's in Bukoto, which has been refurbished, and now it's very, very nice. So for the saints that go to this church, when church is reopened, I know it's going to be a house party in the house of the Lord. Anyway, so that traffic is being managed in this area. Also, you do have traffic that comes in from Chisalo Salo. Now, this brings in people that stay in Chevando, Chisalo Salo, and these particular regions, and also connects them to Chira Road. So it's also an alternative route for people to actually use to avoid the traffic on the main routes. And these ones usually are wanting to connect to the likes of Ntinda. They want to connect to maybe Nalia for that matter. And so they will use Chisalo Salo Road, connect to Chira Road, Bukoto, and they continue with their business for the day. Now this is where you do have Kira Road. Kira Road having that diversion of Kira Road and then Old Kira Road. So this is exactly where you're going to be seeing the none of the border free zone starting from right at this junction here. Where you do have Lugogo bypass is where it will come and end from, but it starts right here on Kira Road. Traffic lights goes around to Cementi and then continues. So following the main route this morning past the Kamocha market, obviously because this is a trading center of Kamocha, it has the market, the supermarkets, like business and trade is happening here in full swing. You get to see that it also comes with its jam this morning, and as you can see, you do have Old Kira Road bringing in its traffic and it's stretching it into orange and red zones at the junction, trying to connect on Kira Road. Equally, for people that are in Bukoto Flats and to Cementi areas are also using this particular route to connect to Kira Road, and that's definitely contributing to how fast anyone on Kira Road is moving right now. Their speed has been slowed down to accommodate this traffic. We also get to look at another area that has most recently been refurbished, and this is where you do have City Oil Kira Road. Now the City Oil Kira Road, remember, this to be a traffic jam, everyone has to wait for the other, but now they've done a small little roundabout, which in my opinion has done more harm than good. Harm in the sense that it has narrowed down the roads on either side, so people that are coming in from Mawanda Road have narrow space to actually, it has allows for one vehicle at a time, and that vehicle is not decided. If it was two lanes, that while this one has to enter on Kira Road, this one can actually access the roundabout, but it's one by one, which is causing a lot of traffic. So I think the objective for KCCA has failed in this regard, because it's causing more traffic than expected at this particular new roundabout that's around Acacia Mall and the likes. But away from that, if you can maneuver through that with patience, Kira Road, the rest of the route is looking a clear route past the museum, and this is going to lead us into Mulago. As you know, the Nyonyintono hospital for women, specialized hospital for women, is now open. And so if you're pregnant, if you know someone who is pregnant, please, that's a good referral. But nevertheless, on Kira Road, feeding traffic into the Mulago roundabout, the straight is long and it's definitely not moving traffic jam. You also have jam that is on Binaisa Road, that these are people coming in from Karele, and they are using the Mulago roundabout to access the upper town sides of town. You use of Lule Road, they're trying to get into the likes of Nakasero, or even get into the other side of Ginger Road. But their access past the roundabout is going to be difficult because of the long stretch of that traffic jam that actually stretches all the way to the Old Mulago roundabout. So if this was your alternative this morning, I suggest you find other routes that you can use to be able to go past this traffic jam if you are in a rush for your meeting. A sneak peek into Wandege on Haji Musa Kasule Road. This brings you into the heart of Wandege, where you also do have some traffic jam because it aids trade and transport coming in or use in Bombo Road, which is a main route, and then you do have Makere Hill Road and the likes. But as you can see on either side of the route, Makere Hillside traffic entering the heart of the city or through the Wandege lights is having a long stretch over red zone, which means that the jam is at a standstill. You do have the orange zones here, both on this side of Bombo Road and the other side of Bombo Road, which also indicates that traffic is moving very, very slowly. Please consider that because the old park is still not yet open, the people who give access to public transport, who aid public transport, actually moved their park to here. So people coming in from Gayas, people coming in from Mperewe, all, that causes commotion here because the public transport, the taxis have to find somewhere to park and ease transport for the people coming into the heart of the city. Following Bombo Road this morning, past YMCA, it clears up and you actually get to enjoy a nice ride of less than 5 minutes before you can actually get to Equatorial and the KCCA roundabout, as it's known around Watoto chart. You also get to see that because of the nature of this road system here, it also does affect the flow of jam. You do have people coming in from Lumumba Avenue, Nakasero, and want to access maybe Kampala Road through this particular route. From the people coming in uptown, you get to see it's clear until you get to intersect with Kampala Road, which looks to be clear at least for now. But Chagwe Road stretching downtown Kampala, Natural Road connections into Chiseka Market, you definitely do expect some traffic jam. And as you can see, it is stretching all the way from Martin Road past Mukwano Mall and comes up past Chiseka onto the KCCA roundabout, which connects to the Kampala Road. So that's something of a traffic consideration for you to have. We'll continue looking at some of these other areas that are affected by the border free zone as we come on with the traffic updates on another day. For now, allow me to first take you to Molen, Kenya, to give us more details into weather, nature and climate.
Well, thank you very much, Priscilla, and once again, a very good morning to you, our lovely viewer out there. But we want to continue the discussion and a look into our seasonal forecast, that is for September up to December. But specifically, we have looked at this season as beginning late. So this, even the rains that we are having now, all those are signs of onset for our rainy season. And also to note that this is the second major rainy season across the country. However, this time, it doesn't seem like it is a major rainy season because drier conditions have been forecast. And yesterday we did go through different parts of the country for different months. We did see which areas are likely to be receiving rains and at what particular time, which months are going to be those. But today I want to take you through the different advisories that have been given out, and these are coming in from regional Climate Prediction Center, that is ITPAC, as well as the Uganda Meteorological Authority. Now, I will start with the disaster risk management sector, what we can do. The forecast shows that we have reduced rains, and that is the general forecast across Uganda, looking at mostly the Karamoja region, northern Uganda. Most areas are actually likely to be dry. Only the Lake Victoria Basin and at least parts of midwestern Uganda are likely to continue having rains at least within the season. So the disaster risk management, looking at lake levels likely to rise, which might cause flooding in some areas, but that is also for the period of September up to mid-October. So there has been an advisory to conduct an appeal, especially for the Karamoja region, where we do expect that there is going to be a likely drought or stress in terms of water and also food production. So this is where, again, where the World Food Program can come in and also beef up with the food and non-food items. Also, for the disaster and risk management to also establish continuous plans to handle issues as they occur. That means that can be done in terms of regular updates to the partners. Now, also looking at issuing of early warnings to regularly, especially through national TV. And as UBC, we've had an established record of giving platform for such warnings. As long as it is of national importance, you can expect to have that at least through here. So this still goes to the disaster management. Please do issue those early warning systems, and also to request government to access relief funds. Now, mostly the month of November and December, where we do expect more stress in terms of water, we do expect at least drought. These are the areas to focus on in terms of looking at averting disaster. And also have a multi-hazard approach for effective disaster risk management. Have a way that you're going to connect with agencies, have that multi-agency connection to make sure there is a reduction in terms of risks. Well, more to the agriculture sector, and that is agriculture and food sector still, because there is potential that is going to be increase in food production for maize and beans, that is across central and northern parts of the country, but also for the Karamoja region. Now, there is also likely for crop pests and diseases. Well, that is also due to the low moisture that is likely to negatively affect crops. So we can also expect a low food production for some areas. Now, some farmers might actually refrain from planting because of this kind of stress, but still there is an advisory for how you can go about this. Even when we have reduced wet weather conditions, there are things that you can do to make sure you stay in the game. Now, first, for the farmers, they are encouraged to practice water conservation techniques. That is for supplementary irrigation. Now, we look at techniques where you're able to even the rains that are coming right now, imagine if you had a way to conserve this water, have them in tanks, even farming practices that have been advised, especially for mulching, but also making sure you have trenches within your gardens that can retain water at least for some time. Now, things like trenches, you look at possibilities of, because when it rains now, this water is going to collect into the trenches, and as that happens, then you can expect this water to continue through the garden even in drier days. So that is one of the practices I would advise personally. And also for mulching, it has been advised through the Climate Prediction Center. And households particularly are advised to store more food to beef up our food stock. Now, this is times where you look at there's going to be low production in terms of food, but now at a time like this, we do advise, please do beef up your stock. Make sure that you have enough in your house, not depending on what you're actually planting, because there is likely to be really less that we can do. But moving further still in terms of water and energy sector, there is going to be reduction, especially we want to look at water levels in the lakes likely to reduce. Even the stream upwards where the water is contained to flow into the lake, that is likely to reduce. But at the same time, there is likelihood of flash flooding. So the Water and Energy Department has been advised to continue monitoring the rivers and lakes in order to avert disaster. And also more to that is provide early warning information on potential risks. We've seen risks, especially for waters. We've seen the moving islands. This is something that the sector can be monitoring, not wait for it to actually happen. But when instances like this happen, when you know this is a rainy season, there is a lot that is likely to happen across the lake. So do monitor those, and this at least provide early warning system. And like I said, UBC has kept that platform to make sure such matters are handled
and issued to the public. So when you realize something like that, especially now that the experts are telling us this is a possibility, please do go ahead and issue those early warning systems. And also I'll end with livestock. In terms of livestock specifically, now there is likely for pastoralists in the country to move around in search of pasture for animals, which might actually lead to conflicts. We've seen this mostly across the Karamoja region, and also there is likelihood for a disease outbreak. The last season that we had, that was March to May, also didn't perform well in terms of rains. We did have more crisis, and we saw an outbreak of diseases, especially to the cattle. Those were also a problem, but we're looking at a similar situation even for this season. The rains are going to be really small, and in times when we look at more drought cases, when we look at more reduced wet weather activities, there is likelihood for more of these diseases to keep happening. So you are advised to actually keep monitoring that and use pasture strategically with caution. Make sure that at least in your farms you have found a way to preserve. There are a lot of practices that have been advised from the experts. Make sure you can partition, and one that I like mostly for me, I've done farming in the past. At least I say from my father's farm. So you do partition your farm. Make sure you preserve certain pasture. The cattle can feed on a different part of the farm, while the other part is actually growing pasture, so that you can rotate that. That is how you can avoid conflict, because otherwise they will destroy the whole thing, and then it's going to be less because the rains are small. It can't grow at a faster rate. But if you do partition your farm, then it's easy to actually follow up with that. And also have negotiations over water and grazing grounds. Well, this is still a challenge, especially for areas where you look at most of them depending on having cattle. The grazing grounds, the water grounds, these are going to have to reach a time where you can't have all the people in the same residence feeding from the same for example, water point or grazing ground. So there needs to be negotiations, and this I put it to the local authorities. Make sure that there is a plan. That is the one way to also avoid the crisis that is anticipated as we look at the drought cases. Of vaccination of animals moving in the country extensively, and also this goes to the PPR. Still, there is supposed to be that kind of vaccination to protect these animals from the likely outbreak for diseases, because it's out there, it's going to happen. So do have these plans already in play, because the scientists are advising that this is one way to actually have animals be resistant to this kind of outbreaks, because they are going to be there. And in times when we are looking at variations in our climate, this is a possibility even in rainy season, because we've seen it in the March to May rainy season. So it is likely to happen. This is more to actually take all these advisories really serious to make sure we can deal with a changing climate, because it is here to stay and we cannot avoid that. Well, but today we did avoid mostly rainy conditions in the morning. There was just some drizzles around town, that is Kampala, across the Lake Victoria, but also parts of northern Uganda. We'll go ahead and take a look at our forecast across the country for this morning. We're starting off with the western part of Lake Victoria. Well, for Masaka, Kalisizo, Sembabuli and Rakai, we do expect to start off with light rains. Temperatures will be at a cool 25 degrees centigrade, and those rains are expected to move into the afternoon. Well, southwestern Uganda, we have Mbarara, Busheni, Ibanda, Rubirizi. We're forecasting also isolated rains. At least 20% of that area will be seeing these rains, starting off at a cool morning with 24 degrees centigrade. Now, across Mount Elgon Highlands, we do have Mbale, Bududa, Buko, Sironko. That area can expect to have more rainfall. That is for this morning. Also starting off with a cool 25 degrees centigrade, and those rains are expected to cross over into the afternoon as well. We're looking at the eastern side of Lake Victoria. We already have cloudy conditions over that place, but those will be developing into rainy conditions as we head into the afternoon. Temperatures likely at 26 degrees centigrade. Eastern Uganda, Soroti, we have Katakwi, Amuri and Kumi. We do forecast rainy conditions over that area, still going to be at 26 degrees centigrade, but that rainy system should clear into sunny intervals as the day progresses. later in the evening. Well, the eastern part of Central, we have Ruwero, we have Woblenzi, Nakaseke. That area is expected to have rains, and most of those will actually cross into the afternoon, but starting off with a cool morning at 26 degrees centigrade, and later we could be looking at 28. Now, central northern Uganda already developing cloudy conditions. We have the sun coming through, but we do expect rains over there as well, starting off with a warm morning at 27 degrees centigrade, which is actually likely to create more wet weather conditions even for the afternoon over that region. Now, Central Lake Victoria Basin, that is where we have Kampala, Entebbe, Wakiso. We have already seen those rains, but still some areas will still be having those rains, light rains actually, but it is a cold morning in the forecast at 24 degrees centigrade. Now, much of Midwestern and also parts of Karamoja having clear skies right now, dealing with mostly sunny conditions, but please do not get comfortable. We do expect rains to develop over there as the day progresses, and that will be later in the evening into the night, so you can look out for those. Well, we do have Good Morning Uganda agenda coming up, and also sports will be on its way just after that. My name is Molin Kenyana. I want to leave you with Priscilla. She does her comments from you and is ready to take us through that. Priscilla.
Well, thank you so much, Molin. Just where we picked it up in the morning, animal fears. We do have caterpillar is my fearful animal because it sneaked into my pants and worked on my lower parts. And worst of it all, I had an appointment. Ann Powers in Ginger City. Well, thank you so much, Ann Powers in Ginger City. Another regard to the conversation we've just been looking at, revision of the transport in the metropolitan region. Hi, guys. I suggest that government should build more car parks very close to the city, not in the middle of the city, like the old and the new parks, to avoid congestion, because you find a lot of people stranded in one place waiting for a taxi. If they put various options, then Kampala will look more than a slum to a city. Cricket, Derek Gargamel, as usual. Thank you so much, Cricket. Good morning, Uganda. Priscilla, the problem of Kampala is at the border. It's the poor planning of the city leadership. Now, it's a short time a big person is planning to introduce a certain means of transport. Yusuf, thank you so much, Yusuf. They should just be straightforward and tell the borders the truth that our Kayola bus is now ready for operation. Other than beating around the bush, borders also want to earn a living. They have children to look after, and so does the taxi driver. Everyone wants to get what to eat, even those who push wheelbarrows. They are all human. Please. Thanks, Walter Bernard. Thank you so much for your contribution. It's like our planners never went to school. Everything is done hurriedly. The only solution is to let systems work. Stephen, thank you so much. And finally, GMU. Involving other stakeholders is something even planners know. But when you involve them, that means that you have let everyone know where money will have gone, and it calls for being accountable at some point, which our leaders are not in for. St. Peter in well, thank you so much. We also did have a response from our YouTube channel, which is UBC Television Uganda, and that was coming in from Kukundane Ivan. Thank you so much for streaming with us. Thank you so much for the wonderful updates, and we are grateful that we are in your company every single morning. Please continue streaming with us on Good Morning Uganda on our channel, which is UBC Television Uganda. Don't take calls on this line, but nevertheless, just remind you that we also do have Good Morning Uganda Special Friday coming up tomorrow. Yes, and we have yet another band that is going to be juicing up your mornings, getting ready for your Friday, but also getting ready for a second weekend in the month of September, and that is Bunjoville Band. They will be here with us starting off your day with music ballads, so get ready for that. 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. tomorrow. For now, we leave you with Good Morning Uganda agenda and sports update that will be coming through. It's still Good Morning Uganda, and you are watching UBC TV.
This is Good Morning Uganda.